Alright, so I had a comment on the Christensen Ridgeline video, or one of them, about, the issues I was having and blah, blah, blah. And so it occurred to me that I hadn't done, or I did the video, but it was so stupidly long, because I have a tendency to ramble, that I never posted it. And so here's the gist. I posted a review on Christensen's Google page about my experience and the issues I was having and sending it back and so on and so forth. And a couple hours later, it was the same day for sure, a guy named Jimmy there at Christensen had sent me a message and gave me his email. So we started emailing, and he basically alluded to the point that Christensen had gone through a purge of employees in the QC and customer service department. So I was like, okay, well that can only be for the better because it was terrible. So he said, what can I do to make your experience better? What can I do? And I said, I'm really soured on the rifle. For that kind of money, I wanted to love it. Blah blah blah. Basically anything y'all'd say. And I said, but the review, I want to make a point that the review I left was not like some super dickhead review. It was just an honest review of my experience, and I didn't get nasty or anything like that. So, and I think that helps, because if you go full Karen on them, they're not going to be wanting to help you, I don't think. Because the old gun, it shot okay, not awesome, but it was everything else about it was terrible, right? So so he said, well, I want to get you a new rifle. I said, awesome. This rifle was en route to me before I had the label to send the old one back, which I thought was wicked cool. That's unheard of, especially for like a firearm. Not that I would ever dream of keeping it, because that's wrong. But they had a new rifle. They had this rifle en route to me before I had the label to send the old one back. I didn't have to do any. I didn't have to jump through hoops with UPS. I didn't have to do anything. They set everything up. They set the pickup up. I didn't have to go out of pocket like I did on the last one to send it back. Like $30 or $40 or whatever to arrange the pickup. None of that. So they arranged everything for me to go. Of course, I had to go back through the background check and stuff because it was a brand new rifle through my FFL in Terrapins in orange. But it was seamless. It was like that was hardly a big deal. So I got it set up. But before I get to that, they included the targets to ensure that this was shooting and loading off the top, top round and blah blah blah. The only issue with this one that I had was it very similar, and it's more the configuration of this scope, I think, because where the turrets sit, they sit right over the middle of the action, which is kind of common. And I think because it has the dual ejectors, it wants to kick it up dramatically, kind of up and over your shoulder, and it has a tendency to hit that windage turret. So I did have to play around with it, and it's not exactly where I'd want it, but it's okay. And then there was a bit of an issue with the bolt locking up on the lugs a little bit, but that's kind of sorted itself now. It wasn't nearly as bad as the old one. Nothing even close. So, and it, a little break-in, I think it's fine. The bolt lift is still kind of stupid. It's, right in that Savage, the Savage 110 actions are very similar to that. They're just a Savage action. So I think I'll probably end up putting one of the comments on the old video was to put a tub spring in it, spring kit. So I think I'll try that, and hopefully that'll sort that out. Weight's still the same, yada yada, but they sent the targets, and I want to show you guys these, and it's a shooter. So let's see here. So the best one, worst one. Let's go with worst. So this is the worst. The worst group is, see if you can make that out. So 0.9 edge to edge. You know, so it's still sub MOA, and it is the 180 ELDM, and it's the Hornady factory load. The Hornady Precision Hunter stuff, the 175 ELDX. Let's see here. This was a pretty good one. So this was in that 6/10, and you know they're shooting this off of a lead sled almost guaranteed. And I thought when I got it all together that I wouldn't be able to replicate it, and I did. So and we'll get to the ammo issue because there is an issue with that. So that is 0.4 edge to edge, and granted these are just 3 rounds, but that's what it's guaranteed to shoot. But that's the federal loading of the ELDX. And then here's so here's the coup de grace, and there's more in here. I think they end up having 6 3-round groups. So there's the best one. So we're at 0.3. That's the federal 175 ELDX. 0.3 with a mean radius of 0.1 is insanity for a factory rifle. But it's kind of well, that's what it should shoot, for what these things cost. So so they went out of their way. They included the targets, and I was like, man, there's no way I'll be able to replicate that. So I got the scope on. I went ahead and put that Credo on there. And I ended up picking up a Night Force because I just couldn't help myself. But it was a good deal. And it'll probably end up on this, that 2.5 to 10 NXS, the one that Mark has. That's what I wanted to put on this initially, but I already had this. I was like, well, that's all I need. But after shooting Mark's some, I was like, no, I got to get one. So, I was like, there's no way I'll be able to do 0.3. Well, I ended up shooting a 0.2 with that Precision Precision Hunter crap. And then I loaded a few of the CSX, and it shot okay. It wasn't phenomenal. But I didn't think I'd be able to shoot it that as well as a lead sled, but off of a bag and bipods, I got like a 0.2, 0.3 out of it. So that was outstanding. And so I guess, long story short, they are making strides to correct the previous mistakes. I guess you could call it a regime. And they've gone through a regime change, if you want to call it that. And this guy, Jimmy, and then Leslie, I think, they seem to be, a pretty good team. And she touched base with me a couple times. And I tried calling, but I just need to send her an email. That was a couple weeks ago. But I tried calling. That, I'm sure they're busy doing all this stuff, trying to, make stuff right. But if you have a Christensen rifle and you're having issues with it, like Mr. Terrapin's grandson had bought one of the Maces, and it wouldn't shoot tighter. He said it wouldn't shoot tighter than like 2 inches, and which is wrong, plain and simple. And his was in 7 PRC. So I gave him the info. So basically, if you haven't reached out to them and you have one of these rifles, I highly suggest you do that, because what it boils down to is you should have a rifle that shoots, or at least meets that guarantee that they're saying it'll shoot at. And in today's age, it shouldn't be that big a deal with everything that we have. But anyway, so if you have any questions, or if you have one of these rifles and it's not shooting, or you're having issues, or whatever the case is, if it's, the bolt's locking up. The guy, Mr. Terrapin's grandson, his bolt was doing that, and he said it was after a fired round, which indicates bad headspace. So if you're having any of those issues and you don't have a POC for Christensen, I guess you could just put it in, I can put it in the comments or something. And I'd rather do it more direct because I don't want to put them out on blast. But if you're having issues, you should get it sorted out. And if I can help do that, then, obviously I will. because everybody needs a good shooting rifle, right? Especially once you spend this kind of money, it's kind of crazy to have to jump through the hoops. But they're trying to make it right. That's the point. So we'll drive on from there. This thing does shoot. I didn't take it out past 400 yards though, but we were right in that. I think it was like 2.2, 2.1, 2.2 at 400 for 3 rounds, and I think 5 rounds opened up to just over 3 inches, which is pretty good. I mean, that's more probably me than anything. But yeah, so I will be putting the Night Force on this more than likely because it's just been sitting on the table for the last few days, week, and I'm getting antsy in my pantsy. But yeah, if you got any issues with these Christensen rifles, hit me up. Let me know. I'm curious to see what other issues there were just because I'm that way. And if you need a POC, a point of contact, I'll be happy to pass what information I have along. So, and I hate to ask, but if you're this far into it, if you could like subscribe if you haven't already. I'm actually doing pretty well, better than I thought I would be doing, and yeah, it's kind of like feel like I'm whoring myself out a little bit. But anyway, do what you want. But if you need some info on these rifles to get it sorted out, I'd be happy to help. Thanks.